Let's play a game really quick. If you have struggled with surrender, raise your hand. If you have struggled with trust in any way, raise your hand. If you're still learning in life, raise your hand. Okay, that's exactly what we're going to get into for this episode, is the practice of surrendering. I was gonna scratch this and talk about something totally different, but I didn't want to skip it. And I have talked about it before in the past, but right now I felt like just wasn't the best time to be talking about a topic that I'm still really needing help with and learning. But then I thought about it again and I'm like, well, isn't that the point of sharing? Isn't that the point of this podcast, is to share as you are learning about life, you know? So yeah, here we are, and we're discussing the practice of surrendering today. Before we get into that, welcome to Transform Perspective. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, hi. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Before I get into it fully, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, I don't want to forget that and leave that out. The goal is still 1K, 1,000 subscribers. If you aren't subscribed, go ahead and do so. I have so much content on YouTube as well as TikTok, and my podcast episodes are on Spotify. And then also I just opened my own journal business called Relevance, and I have an Etsy shop. So if you want to check out some of my physical and digital products, go ahead and do so. And yeah, I just want to throw that out there. So surrender. That can be a tricky topic, but I feel like we're definitely all capable of surrendering. It's different for everybody. It can be so difficult sometimes to really just like let go, relax, and know that you're just being guided and everything is okay, and just to fall back some. It can be difficult, and I think the mindset of saying that it's difficult makes it even more difficult. But anyways, when you're practicing surrender, I guess, let me just share some of the things that I've done to practice surrendering. Something that I've done to practice surrendering is letting go of the idea that I need to have things together or in order or perfect. That's been a big one, is letting go of the belief and the idea that I need to have it all together. I think that's the biggest thing that can keep us stuck in life, and that does keep us stuck in life, is that mindset and that belief that you should know it all. You should know every step you take, and you should stay on that path exactly. And that kind of defeats the purpose of life, of experiencing day to day, just because you don't always know. And 9 times out of 10, you don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of going with the flow. Or if you're not going with the flow, if you're not surrendering, you're resisting the flow and you're just waking up and going about your day. But I think that idea that you need to have it all together is something that can make it very difficult to allow for help, to allow things to flow, because, you feel like, hey, I need to know, this, that, and the third, and have this in order and have this planned out, and it needs to go accordingly. And then when it doesn't, it's like chaotic, or it feels chaotic because you're not necessarily flowing. You're not necessarily surrendering to maybe what's best for you or what's going to happen. You're not allowing any room for anything to just show up for you and happen for you. It's more of like, I'm going to make it what I want it to be. And then if it's not that, then, then everything is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So I think that's the first thing, is starting off with your beliefs when it comes to your life, yourself. And if you're feeling stuck, or you notice yourself kind of always forcing things, or stressed and overwhelmed, it's probably time to take a step back and try to surrender. And so that's a great way to practice surrender, is starting with your beliefs, starting with your mindset. How do you feel about who you are? How do you feel about where you are? And is there anything that you're forcing? Are you going kind of against this flow? The flow of life, which is just being open to what life has for you, to be open for what the day has for you, or this moment. It doesn't have to be on this like grand scale. It could just be for the day. It's okay to have plans. It's okay to have things in order, but when it doesn't go that way, accept it as it is, which is my second thing that I'm practicing as far as surrender, is learning to accept what is. This doesn't mean defeat. This doesn't mean that you don't have goals and ambitions or you give up. It's just like you do have to see things as they are for what they are, including yourself. You have to see you as you are, you know. You don't have to always beat yourself up because things aren't going as planned, you know? So I think learning to just accept things as they are while still having this drive to want to do different or want to do better for yourself. But first you have to start with, okay, where am I right now? What does this look like? Can I be okay with where I am? Can I be okay with who I am? Can I be okay with what is? It doesn't necessarily have to even be your life that you're trying to accept. It could be everything as a collective. It could be the whole world, society. There's so much that feels like, you know, it's out of our control, especially right now during this time. I mean, it's so much chaos and it's just like, oh my goodness, what is little old me gonna do? Or like, what do we do about it, you know? And a lot of times we do have to just accept things as they are. Now, does that mean just let everything go, you know, haywire? No, but you do have to recognize that, okay, this is the state of where I am, or the state that the world is in. And once you are able to accept what it is, then you can take steps forward to make change or do something different. But I think first you have to just allow it to be what it is, you know, without denying your circumstances or your situation or who you are or what's going on in the world or whatever that thing is that you need to surrender to. You have to look at it and say, okay, it's there. It's there, you know, and this could be your internal world too. I know season 2, we're focusing all about finding balance in the inner world. You can apply this to your emotions, your thoughts, anything that's going on within yourself, learning to accept that, you know, okay, that emotion is there. I feel this way or this happened. Accepting it doesn't mean that, you know, it has control over you. It's actually the opposite. When you can see it for what it is, it no longer has that control over you. So I think that's important when it comes to surrender, because a lot of the times we are in resistance, which is not accepting, which is not allowing things to be as they are. And it does kind of seem like, oh, well, you're just giving up if you just accept your situation or you accept your circumstance or you accept your feelings or accept other people. That means you're okay with it. When you're accepting it, you're not necessarily saying, oh, I love this. This is great. I wish it would stay this way. No, you're just saying, even though I may not like this, even though it's uncomfortable, it's there. Okay, you have to start with, okay, it's there. That's a fact. You have to start with the facts, and then you can take steps to change it if you want, or go about it differently, or not change it. Yeah, I think this applies to many different things, so it's kind of hard to specify exactly how you could go about it, but just apply it to your life in any way that you can. But that's just another thing that I've been practicing when it comes to surrendering and practicing just allowing things to flow, is acceptance. It's really, really huge. I think also another thing in my daily life is just being present in the moment, being present here and now. This is something that I really have enjoyed practicing. It does not always feel easy because you can quickly be distracted by life and different things going on, and even inside of your mind. So I think practicing presence has been very helpful to surrendering. You're surrendering to this moment because that's truly all we have. There is no past. There is no future. There's only right here, right now. The only time that you are going to experience the past or experience the future is in your mind. So this is a little bit off topic, but the other day I was thinking, like, you know, when people are talking about like time travel and stuff, what if that's just thinking? I know it's a little far-fetched, but I'm like, what if time travel is just you thinking in your mind? Because if you think about it, there only is now. So if you are talking about the past or in the past, it's because you're thinking about it. And wherever your mind is at, wherever your attention is at, is where you are, you know? For example, you can be like daydreaming. You could be, I don't know, in a coffee shop or just somewhere else. And you could be daydreaming, you know, about you being at a water park when you were 5. All of that feels very real. It takes up all your attention and you zone out and you are in the past. You are in that space. Physically, you're here in the present, but your attention is elsewhere. You're in your mind. You're in the past. So I think, I'm not saying that's time traveling, but I'm just like, what if? I just kind of want to throw that out there because like when you're thinking about it, when that's where your attention is, that is your reality. Your mind, your thoughts, your perspective creates your reality. And so if you're thinking about the past when you're at the water park, but you're in a coffee shop, it's like you're at the water park. You're physically here in the coffee shop, but you're at the water park. And then same thing for the future when you're creating or imagining what the future is like, whether positive or negative. For example, when you do a vision board, a lot of times a lot of people will come back and like record the process or show pictures or kind of update people with, you know, showing them, look at my vision board and look how this has actually come to fruition. So that's another example with the future. You have these visions, you put up this board, you know, have this idea and these thoughts that you want to come to life, that you want to manifest, and they can come to life and they can manifest. And when they do, what does that mean? That means you were there. That future that you envisioned, when it actually happens for you, weren't you in the future when you were thinking about it? So, you know, it's just, there's only now. And so I feel like I kind of just went on a rampant there. But anyways, back to the present moment. I feel like that is a great way to help you practice surrendering, is to be present. And so something that I've found myself doing quite often is thinking 10 steps ahead, even with small things like waking up and already having a list of things that I need to do and get done, and then feeling kind of like defeated at the end of the day if I didn't get it done exactly how I wanted to get it done, or just constantly like in my head of what I'm going to do next instead of being where I am now. So like, you know, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this next. And I'm not even like here with brushing my teeth. Like I'm not even focused. I'm just going through the motions. And a lot of times we can be going through the motions in life and not present with life. So it's like you're not really living. You're always living for the next moment. But there is no next moment. It's only this moment. And so I think that is crucial and very important when it comes to practicing surrendering is practicing being present in the moment. And in the past, I've shared many different tips and different ways that you can kind of come back to the here and now. I'll just list off a few. Your senses, your smell, your taste, what you see, what you hear, what you can touch, kind of utilizing your senses to, you know, come back down to earth, you know, and to be present in the here and now. So, you know, taking a moment to look around and see where you are, listen to what you're hearing, what you feel, what you see, what you can taste, utilizing your senses. I mean, we use our senses every day, right? But a lot of times we're still off in la la land. So coming back to our senses will really help you ground in this moment. That's just an example. Also meditation, taking a walk, going outside, getting in nature, listening to some music. Just, you can be in the moment in every moment. Like, you know, there's no huge thing that you have to do or, you know, list of things that you have to do. You just be here. But that can be very difficult, even though it's the simplest thing you could do. Another thing is your breath, breathing. People always tell people that, like, oh, you know, especially when people are having like panic attacks or something like major going on, they're like, breathe, take deep breaths. And I know that can be irritating sometimes, especially in moments when you're like, it's hard for me to catch my breath. Why do you keep telling me to breathe? But I feel like the reason that people tell you to do that is because the breath brings you to the present moment. It helps you like ground and realize like where you are now. And a lot of times when we're getting worked up, for example, like if you have a panic attack or you're dealing with anxiety, a lot of times it's because you were elsewhere. Your mind was somewhere else lost. It was so focused on the future and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and coming up with all these thoughts and ideas, and you get lost in that. And so the breath will bring you back to this present moment and help you kind of just woosah and to surrender to what is here and now. A lot of times we want to use our thoughts and our mind to escape the present moment. And so when you're doing that, you're not surrendering. You're in resistance to what is. That doesn't mean you can't use your mind. The mind is pretty cool. You can use it in many different ways. But when it's affecting you in a way like anxiety or depression or something that's mentally taking a toll on you, you definitely want to practice just being here and now as much as you can. And I share this because I am still working on this day to day, because it's so easy to get swept up in everyday life and in your mind. And I gotta go, this is that and the third. And even if you're not physically moving, it's like your mind is constantly going. So just being present will help you surrender to here and now, to what is, to what's in front of you. You can always try new things and just figure out what works for you. It takes practice. So like I always say, just be compassionate and have grace with yourself and take it just one step at a time, one day at a time. But I feel like with this episode, it's kind of really hard to put in words how to practice surrendering. I'm like, I'll share some tips and some things that I'm doing to practice it. But for me, I've made it a daily thing, but even smaller than daily thing, I've made it a moment to moment thing. Checking in with myself in the moment, and reminding myself to breathe, reminding myself of where I am in this present moment, instead of getting so caught up in my head in the 10 things that I need to do beyond this moment. Because you're always trying to reach something in some further future, or always trying to keep yourself bound to your past. And so therefore you don't really get to enjoy life and enjoy the moment. It doesn't mean that in this present moment there's always going to be something positive and uplifting and always going to be things that feel good, but at least you can be here with the ups and the downs and you're actually experiencing life. You're not living in your head anymore. And so I think that's an experience that is available to all of us when we truly surrender, is truly living. Share this video with anyone who you think it'd be helpful or would help. Like it, subscribe to Transform Perspective, and check out my Etsy shop. I have a digital and physical journal called Guided Mind. It is a 3-part self-reflection guided journal. So check it out. Let me know what you think. And yeah, remember, it is not about perfection, but committing to expansion. Have a transformed perspective.